Hello everyone, it's time for another edition of Adventures in Careerland. Hello, I am your host, Adriano Magnifico. I'm the career lead at the Riel Arts and Technology Center. This is a very special place with 13 applied, technical, and apprenticeship programs that students can take from high school. They can take them in post-secondary. They can take them if they come from another part of the world. We have a great cadre of international students. It's a great place where you can check up on your skill set, find some skills you didn't know you had, or even find an opportunity for work down the road that really relates to your best self. We always talk about K-12 on this podcast as an important part of your life, as a really key part that helps you to learn about reading, writing, socializing. This is an extra piece. If all schools could add this piece to their programming, I think every student would be better off. But students at this moment choose the Arts and Technology Center from Riel programs and from high schools across Manitoba. And that is their great opportunity to build their skills. And we've got some great programs here. Anything from you want to get into business, you join an applied business management program where you're taking a university course, or you want to do some baking, pastry arts, broadcast, media, building trades, culinary, childhood educator, electrical trades, aesthetics, hairstyling, information systems, new media, plumbing. Opportunities abound in this center. And I'm very, very fortunate to work with the broadcast media program. In fact, we have a podcast center here that's housed in the vicinity of the broadcast media studio. And this center is helped and built by a number of partners. I'm always grateful to RBC who helped to build some of this, and a number of partners who have contributed to who comes onto the show, who helps us think about topics, and who connect to us in many ways. Hey, and we have many different guests. We call this Adventures in Careerland because every story we have is an adventure. It's about that path, about what choice did you make? What call did you make? What challenge did you have? How did you overcome them? And our guests never fail us because that's the story of life. We always overcome. We try to figure out things. We try to seek our best selves. And it takes thinking. It takes planning. It takes a little struggle and pain. We love the pain. We love the pain. And I'm blessed and happy to have two students from the broadcast media program as co-hosts. Caitlin Middlestad, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I saw you doing a test this morning.
Oh,
How did that go?
It went okay.
It went okay.
Yeah.
Did you do very well?
I did okay.
Okay.
Decent.
Okay, that's okay. I'm worried about what has just happened in your test. What have you been doing in the program? Are you getting stronger and faster and better? What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, we're currently working on After Effects, which is...
Adobe After Effects.
Yes. Which is okay. I've definitely seen myself getting better at it over the week, but...
Do you think it's a useful program?
Yeah, I think so.
For what? What do you think? This is where I try to get you thinking down the road, right? And when you leave this place, what are you going to do with Adobe After Effects?
Well, after this, I definitely want to be more in like video editing and stuff. So I think learning how to use that will really help me out because before I would have had no idea. So I think, and I wouldn't have been able to learn it myself, like out of the class, I feel. So since I got that opportunity, I think that'll help me out a lot.
That's brilliant, yeah. Caitlin. And I love what you said. I had no idea, and now you have one. I think that's a really important statement you made. I'm also with Hayden Sidler.
Yeah.
We got the name right.
Yes, you did.
All right. So what did your parents tell you your name was this week? Was it Sidler,
Sidler this week.
Sadler?
Yeah, we're going with Sidler.
Sidler today. How are you? So how did you do on the test this morning?
I think
because you're the first guy out. I'm saying this because he was the first guy out.
Yeah.
And when I was writing tests back in the 30s, the first guy out pretty much wasn't going to be doing very well on that test, or he was going to get 100%. Which one were you?
I don't know if it was the first one done, but I got a 90%. So I think I made you proud.
Know. Caitlin, do you have a mark?
Yeah.
What did you get?
I passed.
Okay, Caitlin, congratulations on joining high school. You only need 50%. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's okay in high school to be half wrong all the time.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
And you are mostly right, Kate.
Well, not all the time, but yeah, for that
All
one,
right.
I was
Making
good.
progress. Hey, my question to you is, I always ask a quick little question of you guys. You're in this classroom, you've been in the K-12 system, you've chosen this space to come from your high schools and come here. In your case, you're post-secondary, you've
Yeah.
come from another space. My question is, you've been in classrooms, you've seen what they are, and you're in this space right now. What are the best classrooms? What would be a great classroom for a high school student? Based on what you're learning and where you're getting your best sense of who you are and how you connect to yourself. What do you
I
think?
think when it's like a class, like I feel like our class, a lot of people, we have a lot of the same likes and stuff. Like a lot of the thing. Like I feel like when you're in a normal high school, you're more, there's a whole bunch of kids, a whole bunch of different types of students, so they're not all gonna click. But in this one, it's more like we're all kind of on the same level. It's a little easier to more of a closer group, I'd say.
So it's fun to find a tribe
Yeah.
that all has the same interests.
Yeah,
And you
not
can
like
share
they're not all the
ideas.
exact same, but it's you can all you get along well, and it's easier than normal high school
Yeah.
for sure.
That's an awesome one. What do you think, Caitlin?
Yeah, I feel like maybe high school should have more electives that, like, apply to more kids. Like, I know, like, my high school has, like, an art class, but, like, I'm not an art person. They had, like, because in middle school they had multimedia, which was, like, kind of, like, film and photography and stuff, so that was down my alley. That was perfect, but my high school didn't. So I feel like it would have been really nice if my high school had something like that, or, like, I don't know, they have, like, pretty much every elective except
Except
film
what
and
you
stuff.
want.
Yeah, so that's
Except
why
what
this
you
is perfect. So
Right on. Those are good. You know what? Well, I'm glad you're in the program. I'm glad you're part of my team. And I'm glad how strong you're getting when it comes to expressing yourself and thinking about the future and wondering. I'll ask you these questions all the time. Where do you think you want to go? Where do you think this leads? What sticks to you? What gravitates to you? Because those are the important questions in your life as you move forward, right? And you can only get them by going inside out. Because you can see things out there, but it's got to matter to you inside.
yeah,
So I like that you're beginning. You've actually made the choice. And when students make choices, when you exercise your agency and you make choices and you use your voice, something good happens. So I'm proud of you too. Always be proud of you. Anyway, we have a great guest today. And again, we had
Chelsea.
Chelsea last week. Do you remember her? She was an elite
Yeah.
curler. She's a Canadian champion.
Mhm.
She was she did that twice, and that was amazing. So we got the inside of an elite athlete. I brought another elite athlete to the table here. Sidney Booker. And she's been a 5-year volleyball player with the U of M, and she's had all kinds of accolades playing volleyball. Sydney is also participating in our Applied Business Management program as a teacher candidate. Hi, Sydney. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
All right. And that's where you have a voice like Caitlin. You're going to have to speak closer to that mic,
Yeah.
Sydney. I like it. So, you are a volleyball player. You spent your whole life. You're from Dakota Collegiate, too.
Lancer for life.
Lancer for life. Is that kind of a shackle, or is that something really proud of?
One of the
Lancer-
teachers kept saying it on the announcements.
Oh,
and
Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott, yeah. And then just sort of became a whole thing for my 4 years of high school. And we all said Lancer for life at grad. And yeah.
You know what? That's a great line, too. And it connects you to your school. Actually, when you have lines like that, like sometimes politicians have crazy lines, but when you have lines that are heartfelt and build your community in the best ways, the Lancer for Life builds that, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then I even started saying that with the bisons too. Like once a bison, always a bison. So it just kind of fits. It's very similar.
So you're a 2015 Dakota Collegiate grad. You're a Riel School Division proud alumna. That's fantastic. So you're walking down the hallways at Dakota Collegiate. What kinds of things are going through your head? What kinds of decisions are you making in Dakota Collegiate in grade 11 and 12?
Well, I will admit I was a little distracted by the hallway color. Did not like that.
What were the colors? Are they black? Black and gold
No,
or something?
not a yellow, but brown yellow.
Oh,
just
yeah.
not attractive, not aesthetically pleasing.
Did you ever bring that to the administration's attention?
No, I was too shy.
Okay.
But if they're listening, I hope you've changed.
Change the color. All right. Well, that's that whole Lancer for Life thing.
Yeah.
That's also the ugly color on the wall of being a Lancer for Life. So what's going through your head there? I like that. That's kind of cute. What is going on in your head? You're playing every sport. We talked yesterday.
Yeah.
All the sports you're playing. What kind of sports is priority?
Yeah, it was always number one growing up. Like, I followed in my sister's footsteps. Like, she was always a role model to me, and she played a whole bunch of sports. So then I went to try out like all these sports when I went to high school. So, of course, there was volleyball, basketball until grade 10, field hockey, handball, track, cross country. Those were the big ones for me.
So you had a few of these going on at the same time because they
Oh.
overlap all the time, right?
All the time.
So were the
like,
coaches always upset? Because I coached some decent basketball at River East Collegiate.
yeah.
And we'd be always upset with the football team and the
Yeah.
basketball team that went overlap. So how did you manage that?
Honestly, sometimes I had to prioritize some sports over others. So, like, I loved field hockey when I was playing back in high school, but that always interfered with handball. So I'd be like, hey, like, my heart's with field hockey right now, so I'm just gonna, show up to handball late. And, like, they were okay with that. Like, they understand. But yeah, I think, like, communication was always very, very important with my coaches. And it still is, like, today with, like, everyone that you meet. Like, if you're going to be late for something, always communicate. We talk about this in our business management class, too. Like, if you have an appointment or anything, if you can't complete anything, just let us know and we'll try to be accommodating. So I really learned that, like, from playing sports, and that came
So
from...
there must have been a dozen or so of you in your case, right? Playing
Oh.
everything.
Yeah.
And so everyone was scrambling to get work done. So while you're doing that, that's taking up your nights because sports are taking up your nights. You're playing. So
Yeah.
you never have. How did you eat dinner? And did your parents accommodate? Were your parents sports people?
Yeah, my dad was a big sports person. He played baseball down in the States at Mayville State for, I think, 4 years, and then coached at UND for a little bit. He's still involved with Baseball Manitoba to this day. My mom, she only really figure skated, but she was really into that. And then when me and my sister were growing up, yeah, my mom was at every event. She was always cheering. She brought cowbells, tambourines. Yeah, so she was really into watching us play.
And it's funny, we talked about that yesterday. You said your mom would bring all these cowbells, loud noisemakers, right? And you always could phase it out because you were into your game. And then when she wasn't there,
Yeah,
you couldn't phase it out. Where is she?
yeah.
What's going on? Where's the cowbell? Did that almost distract you when she wasn't there?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? That's the exact opposite you'd think, right? All this noisy stuff would mess you up.
But
so
yeah.
you're also scoring very well in your academic portions, right? So you're keeping up your marks. What's it like doing that? Keeping up with all your marks, traveling constantly, because these sports are taking you away, sometimes out of province. Some of these tournaments are out of province at Dakota, right? Because you're playing some Western Canadian championships and some big events, right? So how are you keeping up with your academics, and how were teachers with you, and the type of athlete that is in your situation there? Because Dakota is known as, I would say, a sports school in the division.
Yes.
So-
Oh, yeah. So I actually mostly traveled with club volleyball. So that would take place from like January up until May. And yeah, we would do like lots of out-of-town tournaments. So sometimes we would go to the States, we would go to Brandon, Best of the West, and Calgary. That was one that we did every year, and then nationals. But yeah, there was like a lot of pressure on getting all my schoolwork done, missing all these classes, trying to keep up. And grades for me, they really did affect like who I was. Like, I thought I couldn't be successful if I didn't have that 95% average. And yeah, that did help me in some ways to be very driven, very motivated. But it also took away parts of my life. Like, there's things that, I didn't have a lot of friends in high school. I got along with a lot of people, but did I actually hang out with anyone after school? No, because I was studying. I was racing off to all these different sports. And that's like something that like I'll always consider, like maybe if I hadn't done all these sports, maybe if I realized that my worth wasn't from a grade, I'd probably have a different experience.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. So you were chasing those marks, right? And a lot of kids do, and that's the system. The only way you're getting to the U of M and to get quick direct access to some, did you get direct access? You went to Asper School, right?
Yeah, so
Direct access?
I was torn because I didn't know if I wanted to go into business or engineering. And then I ended up choosing business because it had the actuarial math program, and I loved math growing up. It was like a puzzle to me. It just clicked. So that was something that I was really drawn to, but a lot of people were saying, oh, STEM, okay, engineering, we need females in engineering. So I considered that, but when I was choosing my classes for U of M, I looked at my volleyball schedule, and most of the engineering classes interfered with volleyball. And just based on who I was like, no, I have to be at every practice and make it to every class. So I went
And
with
they
business.
demand that on interscholastic sports though at the universities. They demand that, don't they?
Yeah, well, student comes first and then athlete, but you need...
But not really, right? If you actually missed a
shaking my
practice or two, come on.
Yeah, you're allowed to miss a practice or
Okay.
a couple. But yeah, you do need to maintain a certain average in order to be eligible to play. So I kind of took that to the extreme. I'm like, okay, need a certain average. Okay, I need the best average. And I've always been competing with myself. It wasn't really necessarily against anyone else. It was just more, again,
Well-
I feel like my worth was tied to my
Yeah,
grade, which
yeah.
is not healthy.
Yeah, and if your worth is tied to external items like a grade or an achievement or making the team, you're carrying that. And you can get through when you're busy, right? But in moments when you're not so busy, how are you feeling? Like, does it come back and go, what am I doing?
Definitely. So our season at U of M is pretty long. We'd start training end of August, sometimes up until March, depending if we made playoffs. And then like as soon as that was over and I was just focused on school, like I had sort of developed like an anxiety, I guess.
A
Like I was
withdrawal?
just,
You're almost,
yeah, like kind of shaking. Like I don't know what to do next. Like what am I supposed to do?
what do you do with your time?
And well, now I've learned to just,
You're the calmest
Yeah.
person I've ever met. Like, this is amazing to me that you went through this. So people didn't see this in you either, right?
no.
So, but you were going through some of this struggle
Yeah,
and some of the pain.
big struggle.
So how did you ever kind of figure out what's the best path for me forward? Because you finished your 5-year program at the U of M. You're an all-star. You worked hard. You're a decorated athlete.
Yeah.
What kind of decorations did you get?
So in my first year, I was, sorry, I have to remember. It's actually been a while now. But yeah, I was named to the Canada West All-Rookie team. And then U of M Bison Female Rookie of the Year. And then I was 5-time academic All-Canadian, so all my years of university, I maintained a 3.5 GPA. So that took a lot of time and effort. And then in my last
and when
year,
you're driving toward that stuff, do you feel like you're kind of okay as you pursue these external things? Like, and you can kind of maintain this sense of kind of equilibrium and survive when you're driving toward it.
I was in like a fight and flight kind of mode throughout my whole 5 years. Like there was never a time where I actually was able to sit back and focus on who I was as a person because I was tied up in all these endeavors. So I volunteered a lot too through the Bisons. That took up, like a few hours a week, practice every day. That commitment is over 3 hours a day. And school, it was really hard to kind of focus on who I was.
And it's not like you're doing, no disrespect to the psychology guy, the psychology courses. You're doing actuarial math.
Yes.
So was this that's some of the hardest math I can imagine.
Yeah, it's...
So how did that go? Like you thought, I want to do actuarial.
Yeah.
So once you get into it, what happens?
You're head deep in work, basically, and you're always studying, but I feel like my actuarial journey, so I first heard of that profession when I was in grade 10, I think, and, you know, a lot of times people say in order to be successful, you need to be wealthy. And I don't necessarily think that's true, but again, when I was younger, that's what, you know, I kind of thought the idea of success was. So that's sort of why I want to pursue actuarial. And plus I loved math, and everyone said, oh, if you like math, yeah, go ahead, do actuary, become an actuary. So that was always in the back of my mind, like when I first started university. And then, yeah, once I got into it, I realized how much time and effort it was. And I always just kind of knew that didn't really match my personality. I knew that I wanted balance. I just didn't know how to find that balance in my life between work and, you know, hobbies, personal interests.
See, this is amazing, Sidney, because you're doing well. You're all Canadian. You're academic all Canadian. You're getting accolades. People are tapping you in the shoulder saying, way to go all the time, right? And you're an all-star. Are you a setter?
Setter, yeah.
So that's the key place. That's the key player on the team in my brain. You are the architect out there of how everything moves, kind of, right?
Yeah, basically
Okay.
the quarterback.
The quarterback, exactly right. So I used architect. I guess quarterback. Okay. You guys both know what a quarterback is?
Yeah.
Okay, good. But underneath, inside, you're feeling,
Like a tornado.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry, I don't mean to like...
No, that's right on. But that's right on. So this is churning inside of you.
Yeah.
It's bugging you. On the outside, everybody thinks, I want to be like Sidney. What a life. What she's doing. And she's striving toward a great career, a wealthy career, a career that will never, in which she'll never want. Inside, explain the tornado piece.
Well, it was like so many different emotions. There was other people who were like influencing me. You know, some instructors, my teammates, coaches, friends saying, wow, like you've accomplished like so much. But like on the inside, it's like, but have I really accomplished that much? Like I don't feel like I'm closer towards my end goal. And it's like, I don't even know what my end goal is because I'm not that happy right now.
That's amazing, because how many people do you think are in your boat of, it looks like they are just, they're nailing it, they're crushing it, but inside, do you think there's a lot of people out there like that?
I think a lot of people, almost everyone has some sort of struggle. And it can be on different scales, different levels, but I think it's really important that we acknowledge that
Right
everyone
on.
has their own story, everyone
Yes.
faces their own challenges.
Yes. So you're searching for purpose then?
I was.
There's
yeah.
a great line from a poem I always use. It's at the bottom of my signature. I'm digging for meaning, but haunted by purpose. I think it's such a great line.
Yeah.
So, what have you discovered about yourself since that? It must have been a letdown for you after it all ended, and then you have to go make your way as a person in society, right?
Yeah, well, I actually ended 2020 like 3 weeks before, you know, COVID shut down everything. So for me, like that was the perfect timing. Like I wasn't forced to do anything. I could just like be, I could just exist. And I really found peace in that. Just, you know, trying to be able to live my life despite not actually being allowed to go out. But yeah, during that time I was studying for my financial math exam for Society of Actuaries. That would be my first actuarial exam. And yeah, like that helped like the studying, but then I just felt kind of stagnant almost, like I was just stuck in the same position. And I just knew,
Without all the accolades now, right?
yeah.
Without all the people.
And then it was
tapping
like,
on the
what am I
shoulder.
doing? So
Yes.
I had that thought for over a year, like, what am I doing? Like, is this really worth it? Like, you know, I like hanging around people. I know, like, being an actuary, you're more head into work. You're studying until you get your designation, which can be lots of years,
Yes,
lots
yes.
of exams. And is that the life that I want to live? Do I want to be this forever student? And I feel like we are always students. We're always learning. But do I want to be that type of student? Or do I want to be someone who can go out and experience the world, can help others find their path? And I've always coached a lot too, and I just felt so fulfilled coaching, seeing kids, you know, want to try hard, trying to make their way in the world, and I just want to be that person to support them. So that's sort of how I found my way into teaching, and I saw this program at Red River, and
Nice.
yeah, I was like, yeah, this is for me.
Did some of that, you must have done the mini U, right? Some
Oh,
of those
yeah.
camps, right? Because I
Yes.
remember I took my kids to them many times, and they were all bisons when I took them to the
Yeah.
bison space. Did that connect with you a lot? Did that help actually drop a seed in you that you thought you didn't know it was there?
Yeah.
You guys know what
So-
the mini camps are? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to one?
I did for like not for the camp, but like my friend brought me for a day.
Okay. Did you ever go to
Yeah.
these camps?
No.
Well, they're expensive camps. Like honestly, like $200-300 if you want to spend a
boy.
week there, right? So,
Yeah.
so sometimes, I sent my kids to it, but I knew it killed me that month because I needed $1,000 to send my kids to these camps. But they're great camps because they fall in love with you guys, young people who are older but not like mom and dad, a little bit. You know what I mean? And they just, what was that like? Talk about those camps.
So yeah, like we were actually called leaders. So not really camp counselors, but leaders. Phys ed leader, group leader, classroom leader. And I just feel like that term leader, that really stuck with me. I wanted to be a leader. I wanted people to, you know, look up to me. And, you know, I don't think I have an ego, but it just felt good, you know, being a
Yeah.
good person. So that really kind of helped guide me in my education journey. It's like, yeah, I like being someone where people can seek help from. But yeah, actually, funny story. So when I was, you know, working at Mini-U, as much as like sometimes I dreaded like the days, like waking up, I know like this full schedule, I loved it at the end. And I feel like maybe that's why I kind of like, brushed off like my education, like not getting my BEd, I mean, for a while and not like really switching career paths or education paths, I guess. But yeah, I just kept like, you know, thinking my time at like Astor School of Business, like, okay, like I don't like this, but I like being around youth. I like making sure they're happy. Like when they learn things. I like being that Mini-U leader, even though everything has its struggles at some points. But
Yes.
yeah,
Well, but you finished Asper, right?
I did finish
And you
Asper.
finished probably as honors Asper, right?
Yeah,
Something like that.
that.
Yeah. She's always. I mean, you're reluctant to talk about your achievements, but I want to say they're great achievements.
Thank you.
And you should be proud of yourself for the achievements. Just getting them. There's other turmoils, and I totally appreciate them. So you finished the Asper,
Yes.
and you mentioned that I don't really like some of the Asper stuff I'm doing.
Yeah.
But you're in the Applied Business Management program here,
Yeah.
or as a teacher candidate right now.
Yeah.
So, was there always a seed of Asper in you, this business side to you that you liked, or now you're combining it with the right piece?
I think Asper, because I never took any business classes when I was in high school.
Yes.
So that part, just like learning about like the different structures, marketing, accounting, finance.
What's your favorite Asper course? Like, do you like promotions, marketing? Do you like?
So I almost majored in 3 different areas. So actuarial was one, finance was one, and marketing was one. I will say I did not like accounting. Just, I don't know, didn't really speak with me, I guess. But yeah, I actually, the more I grow up, I guess, the more I have like, I don't know how to describe it, but I guess I just continue to like marketing more and more, and like just being able to be creative and how I reach people. I think that's something that's really speaks to me. But to go back to your question, yeah, I just think like Asper kind of taught me a little bit more about life than other programs would have. So like there's the whole networking piece, okay? You need networking in every profession, everywhere you go. And then just like understanding how businesses actually worked, like I just thought that was super cool. And I think more youth need to learn about that, because you are going to, probably get a job somewhere. You are going to need to know how these structures work. And that's why I think I really like teaching business, because that's something that I believe in.
But
it runs the world.
Dakota, when you went to Dakota,
yeah,
how were the business students perceived versus your group?
So
And be honest about it. Like, usually that was the non-academic type,
You're correct.
non-STEM. And when we say STEM, we mean science, technology, engineering, and math types, right?
Yeah.
And the world is run with, a lot of the world is run now by STEM graduates. You know what I'm talking about? Like IT and engineers and information technology types, right? So
Yeah.
here's the irony of this. You're in a space now where in high school, this wasn't even in your vision. I'm not taking a business class. I'm not taking a promotions class.
Yeah. Like they looked fun. There's like small business, entrepreneurship, accounting. I mean, besides accounting, I, would not have taken that. But yeah, it's just more kind of non-academic. Okay, like probably less work, maybe like an easy pass. And yeah, again, like I'm competing with myself. I want to challenge myself. I want to push myself to the limits.
Like you're choosing the struggle all the time. Right?
That's exactly. Like I always chose the struggle, and I realized like why I'm not happy. But like I also took like all the science courses, because everyone said, oh, you better take this to open up your doors, and it's like, well,
is that
what
the
doors
common
am
line? Yeah, exactly. Is that the common line from guidance
Yeah.
counselors? I've seen it time and time again. You got to keep those doors open.
Yeah, and it's like, but what doors are they? Because I don't know, and like I just
So the
feel
whole
like there's
career piece is not happening at Dakota either.
there was
like that
no-
piece, and that's not like a disparage of Dakota or any of the high schools. It's just they're busy getting you your 30 credits and getting you out the door.
Yeah.
Has anyone from Dakota ever asked how you're doing since you left?
A few coaches, a couple teachers who I was close with, but
The tight ones that you work some time
Yeah.
with, right? Which is kind of cool. And I hope you keep in touch with them, because I guarantee they're interested in your story
yeah.
and where you're going. And they've got a fond feeling for you. So would you recommend that every high school student get a little dose of business? Now that
think
you've
so.
lived a bit of that life and
Yeah.
been in and out.
Yeah, I think like general business, I'm not actually sure if that's a course, but I feel like every high school student should know that piece, because it also helps in your career development too. Okay, like this is how some structures are in some businesses. You can learn about smaller businesses, larger businesses, nonprofits. There's opportunity out there, and I just think that.
And all of the professional associations, right? Like
Yeah.
the chambers of commerce
Yeah.
and some of these think tanks out there, the Conference Board of Canada, things that I get into a bit, that are so interesting in helping to shape what the world looks like.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool. So you'd recommend, it's pretty cool, you'd actually recommend kids get a dose of business. Did you take any business, Caden?
No, actually, no, I didn't. I was thinking about it. There's this class, it was like it was like computer science. So it was a bit of financing stuff, but it wasn't. I never went into it. But
Why
I
didn't you? It
do
just
agree
wasn't on
that
my
it's
table?
yeah. I mean, it's like it's a good thing to know because it's like when in life you're gonna have to eventually like manage just money type of stuff. So I mean, like
Well, and everything's a business.
yeah, everything's
Like
a
everything
business.
you're going to work for
Yeah.
is a business.
Yeah.
And has to have a balance sheet.
Yeah,
And has to have an accountant. Like they have to.
yeah, buying houses and all that. It's all it's all
The irony in high school is a lot of kids don't take those programs. They are the skills that will allow you to survive and make your way in post high school life. They just will. Accounting, everyone should take accounting in my brain. Don't you agree? Even a rudimentary accounting.
Yeah, like accounting or finance, very similar. But yeah, to understand like where the money goes and where it comes from, accounting for sure.
Yeah, and it's just a way to get you smarter in everything you do. Like, Caitlin, you talked about at the beginning, video editing.
Yeah.
Video editing is almost becoming as important as accounting to a company about how they present themselves in a marketing or promotional kind of way, but also as a brand, right? How do we do that? So you're getting into a space that's very good, but we will always need an accountant. The ubiquitous piece is every company needs an accountant.
Yeah.
And that's the smallest class in most high schools, which makes no sense. People are taking pre-cal instead of accounting, which is all good because it opens doors, and it's a hoop you have to go through to go to places. Like Asper wants you to take calculus, pre-cal, linear algebra and calculus, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember if they changed the requirements, but
I still think
it was
it's
for
calculus.
sure calculus.
Yes.
And then depending if you were majoring in finance, and actuarial, you would need that linear algebra and vector geometry class.
Vector geometry. Wow.
It's like linear algebra and vector geometry. It's
Yes.
one class.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I'm just getting a pain in my stomach just thinking about those courses. Anyway,
That was also my favorite class in university.
favorite class at university, linear algebra and vector geometry.
I also.
Well, that's the end of this. Anyway, go keep. What is it?
I do have a question. I'm gonna bring it back to sports for a minute because whenever like people talk about having like playing a bunch of sports, I'm always curious. Like, what made volleyball stand out to you more? Like, what made you want to choose that over the others?
Well, my easy answer is because I was good at it.
Makes sense.
But
yeah.
I think it was actually from my sister because when she was in grade 9, I was in grade 6, so I would always just watch her practices, and then eventually one of the coaches, Cornell, great guy, great coach, he saw me. He's like, well, you're not just going to sit there, like, you're going to practice. So he got me practicing up against the wall, setting for 2 hours every day, nonstop.
While your sister
and-
was having a real practice.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
great.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe I just fell in love with like the work that we did, and like the sport itself. It's so interesting because like if you take like girls sport versus like the boys sport,
Yeah.
volleyball, I mean, just different game, and there's so many different like strategies involved and different techniques.
Did you
I just
ever
thought-
did you ever try any other sports like just that you thought you might kind of be getting into, but you just or is it always volleyball?
Well, yeah, I played like a lot of sports in high school, but most of them were just for fun.
Yeah.
I really liked basketball until I got a concussion in grade 10, and then then at that point everyone got
Didn't
way
wanna
taller
do
than
that.
me, and I was like, I don't like the physicality of it anymore. So yeah, volleyball was just very neat, tidy, and intense in its own way.
Do you ever get hurt in volleyball? That could be kind of rough, I'd say. Volleyball, I see them.
Oh, like diving all over
Yeah.
the place. Yeah, I've run into
Yeah.
a few bleachers.
You've been pretty bruised up, I bet, a few times.
Oh yeah, there's like I have pictures of like
Oh, boy.
big bruises on my body, and
So what does it take then? That's a good question, Caitlin and Caden. Good thinking there. What does it take to become elite at that level? Like, there's a point where you're good, right? There's a lot of players who are good, and you must look at them sometime and wonder, you could be so good. What turns them into the elite player?
That's a really good question. Definitely like
You have to
the
have the
want.
talent.
You have
like
to
you have to
want.
have some of the talent too, right?
Yeah.
There has to be some of that athleticism.
Yeah.
Yes, you agree, you too?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But what turns you now into that player? The guy who's in the AHL playing hockey, what keeps him from the NHL? What's the piece in your experience?
You know, yeah, from my experience and like in my own personal opinion, it's the want. You know, and like the want comes from experience too. It's like you can be satisfied with how you play, just being good, but if you want that, and I'm emphasizing the want,
Yeah.
because everyone wants to be.
But what does the want
best.
look like then? When it comes to practice, what does it look like?
It's being an everydayer. My coach at university, Ken, told me this. He described me as an everydayer, just someone who shows up day in, day out, no matter what, good mood, bad mood, just laying it on the floor or the ice or the court, whatever sport you choose, and giving it your all.
So practice, did you work harder at practice or in a game?
I think you have to work hard in practice in order to work hard in a game.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's
Well, that's pretty interesting. Were you the last to leave? Were you the first to come?
I was always
Were you
the
putting
first.
more time in?
I was always the first there in our team room getting ready, and the last one to leave the gym. Yeah.
See, those are the little pieces. Think of all that. Let's say you're putting an extra 20 minutes in every practice. 10 before, 10 after.
Yeah.
Multiply that by the amount of 20 minutes
And then
you're spending
every
every day over the 4 seasons before you become the 5th year sitter or whatever, wherever you're at. That's an amazing amount of time. I think that time, sometimes some people just don't make it because there may not be a talent, but I've seen some players, when I watch some hockey players, for example, how did this guy make it? Like, how did this guy, it's just, the talent isn't there like this other player. I like your comment. It's about the want. I want it more than you. I'm not as talented as you, but I want more. That's pretty cool. Hey, what would you say, Sidney? You're sitting to a group of grade 11 students about making your way in the world, thinking about some of your great accolades, but also some of your pain and your struggle, and finding your way. What would you recommend to a high school student? If you were to say something to them and go, I got some wisdom for you I'm going to impart. Just before I leave, here it is.
I don't know if I heard this enough growing up, but like, it's okay. It's okay if you don't get that 95% average. It's okay if you're a 60% kid. Okay, as long as you have that goal in mind, okay, you will make it. I want to talk about in my 4th year, I actually was failing a class, and I thought things were not going to be okay. It was Models 1 for one of my actuarial classes. I was failing it, and I was only in 3 classes at that time, so in order for me to be eligible to play volleyball, I had to maintain those 3 classes and that certain average, and I said I couldn't do it, so I dropped it. Didn't get the F, but I dropped it, and that hurt me so much. But I'm okay right now. Okay? And everyone.
I totally
If
feel
you
that.
have that
I totally
mindset,
feel
you'll
that.
be
Like, and
okay.
you know what? This sounds stupid, but I remember in junior high, I was a top student. I was an average student. I was a decent student. In junior high, I was a top student at some point. And I failed my first test in junior high. I couldn't even look at my mother. I didn't even want to walk home. Like, how? It was a quiz. Who cares? The rest of the guys went out and played tetherball. I was sitting off to the side thinking, oh my God, what have I done? Like, that's crazy. You get in your brain sometime how important this is, but it's irrelevant.
Yeah, there's so many other experiences in life that are way more valuable than maybe a test or a quiz in the classroom.
Right on.
Okay?
Right on.
I do have one more question.
Yeah.
I know, like you were saying, that like school was kind of stressful at times for you and stuff. And I know some people see like their sport as like an escape from that. Was there a point when the sport became just as stressful for you, or was it an escape, kind of?
There was some times where I actually couldn't escape school. I couldn't leave my thoughts at the door when I entered the gym. And then as a result, like, that turned my sport into something stressful.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I really tried my best to, let it go, past be the past. And once you're able to do that, and that took a lot of energy, work, lots of meditation almost, in order to enjoy my sport again. That's a really good question.
It is. Very good. Hey, you know what? Sydney, we're getting to the end of this. But we do something. I hope you're ready.
You know it.
For the quick cues.
So quick cues is just a bunch of like rapid fire questions. It's like you say the one you prefer out of the two. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Volleyball or basketball?
Volleyball.
Favorite social media?
Instagram.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee. Wait, no, tea. Matcha. Does matcha count?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
Favorite holiday?
My birthday.
Shows or movies?
Movies.
Apple juice or orange juice?
Orange juice.
Field hockey or basketball?
Field hockey.
Staying in or going out?
Going out.
And last question, what is your favorite podcast?
This podcast.
Okay, because if you didn't answer that correctly, Sydney,
Candy.
this is
We
all
wouldn't
been
air
for
this.
naught.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't have put it up. Anyway, Sydney, what an incredible conversation we just had. I just thought you opened up about who you are, what's important to you, what you value, but really about some of the pain and struggle. You're on the path now. Do you feel like you're on a good path?
I feel like I can see the light, like, at the end of the tunnel, and
Right
I'm
on.
almost there.
And I can see you when I watch you in class a bit and when I connect to you. There's a calmness. I never would have pictured some of that pain you're talking about because you have such a calmness and such a pleasant demeanor.
Thank you.
But that's a tribute to you. But I think that's you coming into this space over time as well. I think it's coming more naturally than this facade. Yes?
Yeah, like I think I've always just been kind of calm,
Yes.
or shown that, but I've never felt that. And then now these past couple of years, it's like I don't know, I'm kind of like showing like my outward appearance inward.
yes.
Like I feel more calm now.
Yes. And you know what? I think that some students will be listening to your story, and I think they're going to be inspired by what you said. So I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And thank you to our co-hosts. Thanks for talking. Thanks for your contribution. Thanks to our producers in there, Phoenix and Geneva, who are making sure this thing runs properly. And ladies and gentlemen, friends and relatives, that's it for another edition of Adventures in Careerland.